What's going on, you guys? In today's episode, I interview Irish Abat and I break down her entire rookie real estate deal. We go into why she picked her market, how she found her team, and what the numbers look like. You don't want to miss this one. Well, thanks so much, Irish. Let me first kind of just say good morning, and I appreciate you coming on talking about your rookie real estate deals. I think that is obviously there's the whole podcast on Bigger Pockets about that.
For sure.
But it's been really exciting to kind of follow your journey along and get to know you a lot more. For everyone else who's either watching on YouTube or on Zoom or on now Instagram, tell me a little bit more about yourself, what you do, and how you got started into real estate investing.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Josh. Well, my name is Irish. I'm born and raised in the Philippines, and I moved to the US when I was 9. I held 2 part-time jobs throughout high school and basically worked my way through college as well. And I was actually a nursing student, and during my 3rd year, I dropped out. I did not like nursing at all. And so from there, I realized that I could not do anything with getting a degree. So I knew I wanted to get a degree with something that I was actually interested in. And I was always interested in owning a business. So I went back to school for business, and I didn't know what business I wanted to have, but I knew I'd like one. So what made sense was to get a job that has stable income. That way I can save money for when that business opportunity comes, I'll have the money saved up. And so I chose accounting, which is really funny because I don't like math at all. I was never really into math like that, but it's the one that made sense. It's the one that made sense because I knew it's going to help me with my business in the future, whatever that business is, and I knew it was stable. And so with that, yeah, I basically was able to get a job, secure a job while still in college, and now I work full time as a public accountant.
Okay, that is interesting. I'm sure that changing majors on your junior year, were you already in a nursing program too?
I was pre-nursing, so I
Okay.
was super close. I had 2 classes that I needed to complete before getting into their nursing program.
Gotcha.
And I was already doing interviews while just getting more information and doing a lot more research and all that.
Well, the former academic advisor of myself always finds that interesting as students change majors. I mean, I don't know. I feel like even after the degrees is still changing careers, right? So just tasting the different careers and major interests is I think an important part of becoming an adult. And so now you're an accountant and you are also jumping into real estate investing. What piqued your interest about that? Kind of what got it started and why?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I should say, when I first heard about real estate investing, it was a YouTube video. And at that time, I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I thought after watching 2 YouTube videos that it was a scam. So I was like, no way. Real estate investing? There's no way. That's only for rich people. But, going back to my point earlier about wanting to have a business, during COVID, I realized that I could jump on that business opportunity a lot sooner rather than later. And so I had all this time in my hand and I was doing a bunch of research into potential side businesses or side hustles. And I eventually come across Bigger Pockets. And so after hearing a few podcasts and doing a little bit more research, doing a lot more reading, I realized, okay, this makes sense. I think this is what I want to get into. And then after meeting more people that are doing it and kind of just doing all of that, doing deep dive, I realized it's something I 100% want to get into.
So your first exposure wasn't your friend, wasn't a family member who was doing it. It was just a YouTube video.
Yep.
Okay.
And it was, one of those things too, where I got into the deep, dark hole of YouTube videos. It was drop shipping, e-commerce, and then real estate investing. And so, yep, just a YouTube video.
Oh, well, That's fun. Also very interesting. That, and I can see why that seems, I I feel like I had it a similar sense, not like scammy, but that yes, that it was for the rich, or there was a super, super high barrier of entry. And it wasn't until I had a buddy in Hawaii that was actually doing it that I was like, hey, we're not, not to like downplay or anything, but like we're both starting our families at that time, late 20s. And he did it. And I was
Right.
like, oh, it's real. um, and that's what like made it real for me. What made it real for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think just to take it back a little bit, I think for me, like hearing it the very first time, it just sounded so out there. It sounded so out there hearing that people have to get in debt, like loads amount of money in debt, but I didn't realize that there's all these other benefits. And not only that, when you're in debt, you're not really paying for it in the long term. Once you know how to analyze deals and calculate numbers and do all of these different strategies, your tenant is paying it for you. And then with the tax benefits, the government is paying you. So it was a small things, but like to answer your question, what made it real for me was, I was a public accountant, I work in tax, and hearing about all the tax benefits, I think was my first like entryway into trying to understand real estate investing. And then from there, hearing other people, like real people speak in social media, was what made it real for sure.
Okay. Yes, the social media group. Obviously, we were in a couple of social
Yes.
media groups. So then what was that timeline for you from discovering it on YouTube to exploring
Mhm.
to like just break that down for me?
Yeah, so it was November of 2020 is when I found Bigger Pockets. I Any free time I would get, I stopped listening to music, I stopped watching TV. Any free time I would listen to the Bigger Pockets podcast. And that was November 2020. And then in February is when I decided to do February 2021 is when I decided to do like a deep dive into like real estate education. And from there, I made it a goal to have one by summer 2021. And so I got one I closed on my first property July 12 or July 2 or 3, somewhere around there, like Independence Day, 2021. So yeah, about a little over, I don't know, 6 to 8 months if you count like November.
Okay. Congratulations. The first deal I think is the
Thank
hardest
you.
deal. Um, and I'm trying to think of like the ordering of questions that I want to go into, because it was, I guess, if we're talking about July, that's almost what, 7, 8 months of education that you went through first and analyzing. What made you feel at month 8? Were you like, were you shopping for deals? Like, when did you actually start offering pick your market, all that stuff?
That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked that because I think it's something that a lot of newbies struggle with is I think the first one is finding a market. So for me, I knew that I needed to invest out of state. And I was actually analyzing like 3 or 4 different markets in February. But I was like, I'm not getting anywhere. I haven't even reached out to any agents. I don't have like a lender. Like I don't have all of these things that I needed to have that everybody was talking about, like core four. And so I knew quickly that I needed to hone in on one market. And so I decided Huntsville was going to be my out of state market. And then, sorry, you had a second question to that I wanted to answer. I'm having a brain fart.
I don't even remember. I guess how long it took you to then execute and start making offers, like the first
Oh,
actionable step.
that's right. That's right. So once I decided my market, I didn't make an offer until May, like mid-May, which is kind of wild because by the time I had decided that I was going to stick to one market, I did everything that I was supposed to. I interviewed agents, I locked up an agent, I got pre-approved, I had a GC, I was even cold calling, but I didn't make any offers. So there was a block for me with making offers, and I thought it was going to be hard, but it definitely was not. As soon as I did my first offer in May, um, 4 offers later is when I was able to get under contract with my first property in June.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's interesting that you even started cold calling on people before you even wrote an offer. So backtracking a little bit,
Okay.
why did you said that you were looking at 4 different markets. Why did you eventually pick Huntsville?
Yeah, so I wanted to find what we have here in the Bay Area in another market. And so what I mean by that is, like the types of employers that we have here and the job growth, like stability and types of jobs. Um, and so I literally Googled top cities for tech job growth. And the first few were like Milpitas, San Jose, Austin, Denver. Like it was all familiar cities. But then I see Huntsville, Alabama, and I was not familiar with it at all. So I decided to do more research. I like what I saw. I like the types of employers. And that's why I decided on Huntsville. Oh, and I could find a property in the price range that I was interested in or wanting to get into, which was 100K range. And there are plenty of properties in that range.
Okay, so budget and also job growth is important. Did you have like a target rent price ratio that you were looking at before deciding it, or was it just you ran some numbers and the numbers worked?
Definitely 1%. I knew I wanted to hit at least the 1% rule. And after analyzing a few deals within that price range, and then within the rent, for running comps and all of that, yeah, I was able to find properties in the 1% range
Can you
or
break down what
1%
the
rule.
Can you break down what the 1% rule means for those who don't know?
Yeah, sure. So it's meant to really just be like a rough estimate. So it's just a rule of thumb. But basically, say if you find a house for 100K, purchase price 100K, then it should rent for at least $1,000. So 1% of the 100K. And that was a very basic rule of thumb.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now you're in Huntsville. It fits your criteria. Tell me about the first deal. You kind of already alluded that you've made, I guess, 4 offers before that didn't go through. So this was offer number 5.
Oh, it was offer 4. Sorry, this was the
Offer
fourth
4.
offer.
Okay, so tell me about this deal. How'd you find it? All of the juicy normal stuff.
Sure thing. So since this was out of state, I wanted to use whatever app or website my realtor was using. So she was using this local MLS listing that's not like the Trulia or Zillow's. It's like the local one. And so I was on that like all the time. And there was a property that said coming soon. I didn't find it on any other of the like sites except for that MLS website. And I reached out to the agent. I was like, hey, would you be interested in entertaining any offers? She's like, yeah, sure. So I had my agent write up a contract. At the point, I was like, it's June, like I need a property, or end of May, I need a property by summer. And so I was comfortable with making an offer a little bit higher than what was listed, and I was able to get it.
So did you make the offer? So you contacted the listing
I,
agent directly, but you
yep.
had but you found this off of your agent's like drip campaign, like MLS search.
Not exactly. I don't know what it's called, but they just call it like Valley MLS. So for anybody who's interested in
Gotcha.
Huntsville,
Okay.
you can just type valleymls.com. And I think it's just a direct website where the local agents can put their listings there directly. Cause I think maybe Zillow or
Mhm.
Trulia, has fees. And this might be free on that.
So, okay, and I guess my follow-up question is, you were already working with an agent. Why did you feel like you needed to reach out to the seller agent directly?
I just wanted one. I wanted a property right away. So as soon as I saw that and it was listed as coming soon, I think I slept on it. And then the following day it didn't change. So I was like, okay, you know what? My agent I don't know what my agent's going to do. I just need to like reach out to the seller directly. And then from
Gotcha. Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes,
You just wanted to move now.
I did. I was like, okay, time's running up. It's already summer. I need a property right now.
Okay, then can you break down the numbers? How much did you purchase it for? How much did you end up putting down? How did you finance it? Rehab? Was this a bird deal or all of that good stuff?
Sure thing. So the list price was 125. I bought it for, or I made an offer for 130, and it was financed 20% down conventional, and it's renting for 1,300, 1,300. And so with that too, I was able to get seller credit of 3K, and like cash flow, minimum cash flow after PITI is 260, and the cash on cash return is 9.6% because I had to do rehab, and the rehab was about 13K.
Okay.
So all in, I was in for 43K.
Okay. Okay. So 43K
Mhm,
all in, purchased at
mhm,
130, slightly over list.
mhm.
What did it appraise for?
133.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, so I saw that there was a property 6 doors down that
Mm-hmm.
sold for 135, looked exactly the same from the outside. I actually
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how the inside looked like when I made an offer. We can talk about that if you like. But I didn't know how the inside looked like. I only knew the outside, but I knew there was a property 6 doors down that sold for 135. So I was, and it was listed for 125. So I figured, you know what, 130 is the highest and best, and it's going to hit my number, so I'm just going to go for it.
I like it. Okay, well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Before we dive more into the numbers, we do have Villian who joined us on Zoom. So good morning, man. And then for those who are on Instagram as well, if you have any questions for Irish, you can feel free to leave it in the comments or also put it in that question box for Instagram. That actually might be easier for me. So if you're on Instagram, thank you. Okay, so you said it was a 9%-ish cash on cash return. And so what was, like, if you broke down, it was renting for how much again?
1,300.
1,300. Okay. And then you got it for
Yeah.
basically exactly 1% rule. Good job. So then
Yeah.
what does that
Thank
break
you.
down in terms of your calculations for your monthly cash flow after all expenses, PITI, vacancy, maintenance, CapEx, management, all that good stuff?
260.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like I don't know, what is that now? Like, what is $260 could be a car payment, a free car payment?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Or, yeah, I don't even know what that is. Utilities.
Mm-hmm. Depending on, I guess, how much AC you're using.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Were there, a, we kind of alluded to this before the show, but the highs and lows of like the offer process of going through it, of the rehab, you also went out there to look at the property.
I did.
Um,
Yeah. Towards the end.
Tell me, like, all of like, was there an emotional roller coaster?
Absolutely. 100%. I think the emotional roller coaster ride started when, well, first I didn't know how the inside of the property looked like because the listing agent was on vacation. So I actually made an offer, and the offer got accepted before I knew what the inside was looking like. So I made sure, I had contingencies in place and all of that. But the high was when we were able to go, me and my agent, or my agent was able to go inside and see that it was in really good condition. And then I think low, quickly after that, my lender was just giving me a hard time um, because I financed it 20% down, but I actually used different like sources of
Mm-hmm.
cash. I financed it like through my Roth
Mm-hmm.
401k, cash, and I liquidated some stocks as well. So
Mm-hmm.
moving all of those money and really just trying to get it into one place,
Mm-hmm.
I ran through so many headaches. Like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know there was a $10,000 like daily limit
Mm-hmm.
like withdrawal from transferring from my online bank to the other bank that I wanted to use. I didn't know that, you know, if I wanted to do a loan against my 401k, that it was going to take 2 to 3 weeks to process. And I was really like, I was cutting it super, super close. So definitely a lot of lows in terms of me just getting all of my paperwork and like money sources
Mm-hmm.
organized. But as soon as that was done, highs was seeing the property and seeing it getting rehabbed and seeing it look nice and all of that.
Okay, so it sounds like then the biggest like low or like oh no moment was in the lending process, just trying to make sure you can close on time. Um,
For sure.
did you, and you said this earlier before the call, but there was not a time where you got cold feet.
There was not. There was
Did you?
definitely, yeah. There was not a time where I got cold feet, primarily because I set a goal, like I set a deadline, like summer 2021. Like it's a, you know, it's a mission that I need to achieve by summer 2021. But there were definitely points during that whole first deal experience where I was distracted. And it took me reaching out to a really successful like investor slash agent, and they had to tell me like honestly like, hey, you're it sounds like you have analysis paralysis because you're so distracted in so many different areas, and it's not it doesn't align with your initial goal of just getting a, you know, traditional rent ready property. Like I was trying to learn about um like foreclosures. I even reached out to like people that were doing like short sales. I was trying to learn about creative financing, and I was in no position to learn about all of those things because I was so new and I haven't even had the first like experience of going through with this like full circle, that I would have just been so much more overwhelmed, and I probably would have just extended my time frame. So yeah.
Got it. Well, I'm glad that you had whoever to just say, hey, no, just look at this one thing. I know, I mean, we had the same thing for our first deal too. We ended up
Mhm.
like, I remember having the conversation with the agent, like, hey, we're going to pull out of this first deal that we had under contract, you know,
Yeah.
because once we do this deal, we can probably only do one more and then we're out of money. And I was like, oh, burrs only, you know, because otherwise we can't do any more. Um,
Right.
and I remember him talking me off the ledge because, and now, you know, and only 8 months later, it ends up being kind of the best thing. And I'm so happy that we did it.
Nice.
But I'm glad that you were like a lot more strong with your conviction when you were through that deal. Um,
Yeah, and it's funny because that agent, I was calling them about house hacking. I was like, should I house hack or should I just like buy like long distance? I was distracted. I had too many eggs in different baskets, and he was like, dude, just stick with your first plan. Make it simple. It doesn't need to be a home run right now.
mhm,
Just just do it.
I like
So I
it.
really
I like it.
appreciate him for telling me that. Yeah.
Good. We have a question on Instagram. Are you going to continue buying in the same market?
Yes. 100%.
I mean, you've now built up a team. I feel like, you know, it's a wasted effort to build those relationships, especially after you visited and probably got to, you know, have lunch or dinner with a couple of them.
Exactly. And I think the city, I really like the city. When I visited, I there were certain things that I really enjoyed, and I kind of want to visit again. One of those things where I do see the culture of the city and where it's towards, with everything, with like everything popping up, all the jobs that are moving there or all the jobs that are opening. I really like what I see.
Okay. My question is like the expectation versus reality, right? Obviously, you said
Mm.
that, you know, social media reinforced it to you, and you saw, most of the time just the glamour and the good news. What did you expect your first property to be, and what was the reality? Or did they actually just match up?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think for me going into it, I definitely try to prepare as much as I can. And so I was preparing for the worst. And so going into it, I think my expectation was that it was going to be really, really hard and challenging. And there were definitely times where it was. But in hindsight, like in retrospect, after going through that first deal, I realized that it's really just super simple. It doesn't have to be super complicated. Especially with that first deal, it just makes sense to go with the simple route, which is what I did. Um, and if you do that, it's going to build confidence for the next one. And that's definitely what happened to me. Like now I just want a property by the end of the year. Another property by the end of the year. And so I think like what everybody says, it is really simple. And that first one is really just to build your confidence.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that it met your expectations. Would you have done, what did you do right? And what would you do differently?
I think what I did right was analyze deals consistently. So I analyze deals like almost every day. Literally any single time I get a notification on my like, oh, new property, within my price range, I'd analyze it. And so doing that, I was really, really comfortable with my numbers, even though it was, a base hit. I was super, super comfortable with the numbers and just the area. What I would do differently, I would definitely put an offer sooner rather than later, because I think just the act of writing up an offer and understanding how that process looks like that communication, that conversation between like your agent and then the listing agent, or the different addendums that you can put, or the different contingencies that you can put, all of those small things definitely helps, is just another part of the process. And I would not have learned that if I didn't make an offer. So if you just do it sooner rather than later, definitely that's what I would do differently.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think just doing the small actions, and it's funny because I just put an Instagram post today about like solving the next problem. But those small actions of analyzing a deal every single day, like you were doing, or going to a lender and then getting pre-approved, and then putting in offers, like just like those small mini like actions. And I say mini, putting an offer, it kind of is scary, but I mean, you still have a chance to back out, right? So it's not like you're just saying, hey, would you like this? And that's it. And I think those things help you actually snowball into something much faster.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And just to add a little bit too, with me taking so much time making that first offer, I definitely lost time, and I probably lost money too, in a sense that when I was looking in February, March, the prices were, I can find an equivalent house for 100K. And then by the time I closed it in June, July, it was worth 125, 130. And so yeah, just jump. If you have everything in place, like I would just jump.
I mean, that's an interesting question. Not to like now
Yeah.
break down your first deal, but to kind of move past that as you're thinking about the crazy COVID appreciation that happened.
Right.
What do you think about that now? Like as you're looking for your next deal, like how often do you think about that, and how is that impacting your decision on your next deal now?
Yeah, I think about it all the time, with the markets. And just the past week I was looking in the subdivision where my house is located. There's two level story homes that are now selling for 183. Like it's pending for 183. My house is single level, but that just makes me wonder how how much, like how rapid the price increases will be, and two, if it could sustain it. I think it also really depends on the market. And I think I'm really just bullish on the Huntsville market. I really like what I see. And so I'm confident that it's going to continue to go up, but how high and how rapid it's going to go up, I have no idea. And it's something that I've been changing, or something that I've been doing recently, is just keeping up to date with like market news, like local Huntsville market news, and even Bay Area news, because that's an area that I'm interested as well for like the second property.
Yeah, definitely. But this Huntsville one is a long-term hold for you.
Exactly.
I'm
Long term.
sure over the course of 5, 7, 10, 15, 20, whatever years you end up planning on holding this,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how much it appreciates right now, because in the grand scheme of things, 6 months and compared to 20 years is like a drop in the bucket.
Exactly.
So what's next, Irish? You mentioned that you're hunting for the second deal. You've posted a few different things on Instagram. Now you've earned a little bit more shiny object, because I know I have super shiny object. I think you know that. What is next?
Okay, so next immediate goal, and this is maybe like a plug, but I am pivoting my career into the real estate investing, or sorry, real estate industry. Um, I'm looking for either a real estate analyst position, but I'm also super interested in getting into sales. So trying to obtain my real estate license, and I would like to work for a team that would be interested in, or that really just aligns with what I'm looking for. So that is my immediate goal. But in terms of the real estate investing side, I want to ideally get another one by the end of this year. And I am looking into short-term rentals.
Is that another long-term, short-term? What?
Oh, I like that. Yes, yes. So I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm looking into bursters.
Okay. Where?
Which Huntsville and the Bay Area. See, if Bay Area, it'll be maybe a burster house hack. I don't know if that's a term, but a house hack and short-term rental. We'll see. We'll see. Still in the idea phase, still in the research phase. And right now, I'm learning from the first thing that I did, which was I was looking at too many different areas, and I find that short-term rentals is the same thing. You could totally specialize or get distracted by a bunch of different things. And so for me, I need to really figure out what my ideal like client is, my ideal guest. And then from there, I'll start doing a deep dive, whether that's, long distance or local.
Okay. Well, that
Yeah.
sounds really exciting. There's a full career W-2 pivot on the horizon, plus a potential change in market and change in strategy. Gosh, that's exciting. That's a lot.
I am. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, okay, one thing at a time. I already learned the first time around that I was not good at multitasking and just spreading myself too thin. So one thing at a time.
Well, I have one more question for you, and then I'll throw it back actually to our audiences right now. So, hey, Jason, thanks for joining us on Zoom, by the way. If either you or Villian, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, have any questions, drop them in the chat. Also on Instagram as well. If you guys have any questions about Irish's first deal or next deal, put it either in the comments or in the question section as well. My last question is, okay, so your next immediate goal, W2 pivot plus burster or another long-term rental, what is like the ultimate goal? Like what's that like 5-10 year goal?
It's 100% time freedom. That's my ultimate goal. And just to share, I work a lot in public accounting, and I thought that was going to be like a 5-year plan, but I realized during that time that I value my time so much more than money. And so time freedom is the ultimate goal. How I'll achieve that is through $20,000 in pure cash flow per month in 20 years. How? Through my rentals, or a business, but it's going to be in the real estate investing side, 100%.
20. See, I like that. That's good. That's also like our first initial milestone. And I think, you know, I know I was talking to Jess White about this.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, that's really high. And I was like, dude, you live in Texas where your mortgage is, you know, $1,000. If you wanted to do it in the Bay Area, like a mortgage now is $5,000-$6,000 for nothing that's
Right.
like in the east side San Jose. Nothing against the east side San Jose. That's where I grew up. But
For sure. Yeah.
you know,
And exactly. And I think it's such a scary number to think about, but the way I see it too is realistically, like for me, I'd be happy with 5, 6K per month, but then with $20,000, it's not really only for me. I could help my parents out. I could potentially impact my community somehow. I don't know what that looks like, but it'll just allow me to share the abundance that there is with real estate investing. And I think that is super satisfying. And you know, I'm still into this early on, but now seeing my parents interested in real estate investing is just so, like, I can't think of the word, but it's just, it makes me happy. I really like that they're enjoying it. And then now they're also pivoting their retirement plans and pivoting their like retirement money into real estate, because now they're interested in that and now they see the power of it.
yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing.
And you're gonna have different conversations with them now. I know,
Yeah.
like about the conversations that I'm having with my dad now, and we closed on a duplex together last month, and it's
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like I get to finally be the adult at the table instead of being the adults are talking.
Right. Now they come to you for advice.
Yeah.
And your knowledge.
Yeah. Well, hopefully just don't mess
Yeah.
up, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Irish, so much. Before we head out, where can people find you?
Yes, thank you so much, Josh. This has been a lot of fun. You guys can reach out to me on Instagram at Irish Invests. Happy to answer any questions, or if you guys just want to connect, that works too.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Irish. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all of the, I guess in your case, like the perfect first rental scenario. I don't think I could have done it better myself. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I will see all of you guys on the next one.
Okay, that was a fun call. Thank you, Irish, so much. Key takeaway is just do it. I know that's, you know, everyone says build the parachute on the way down and things like that. But honestly, you know, as long as you do your due diligence, make sure that you get at least a good enough education to understand the fundamentals, you aren't really able to troubleshoot the problems that happen until they happen, right? So focus on that next step and just jump into it. I'm curious to know what you guys got from the call down below. Let me know in those comments. If you found this valuable, again, please, again, thumbs up, subscribe. Let me know who else you'd like me to interview on the next one. All the other links and plugs and all those good stuff is down below. I need to put in more wine in this thing. I will see you guys on the next one. Cheers, you guys.